people will play in your face. And they will think it's a game. And they will think that, oh, because this person forgave me, this person allowed me back in their lives, it seems like nothing even happened, that they could try you again in the future. And that's not to say that you shouldn't be open to love, you shouldn't give people second chances. No. What I'm saying is there are people who have certain character flaws that are a part of their being that may not align with the person that you are. Right now I'm spitting bars. Can we just acknowledge that? Like, obviously this is personal.
I can see the stars align.
Hey Lions, welcome back to another episode of Lionhearted Conversations in the Lion's Pride. For those of you who are new here, my name is Precious Leone. I am a certified life coach and wellness enthusiast and founder of the Lion's Pride, which is a safe space to learn, heal, and grow the mind, body, and soul so that we can be the best lions that we can be. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, to follow, like, share, so that other lions can find their way to the Lion's Pride and take part in these lion-hearted conversations. Go ahead and grab your tea, coffee, whatever works for you, and let's get into it. Seeing as though this will be the last lion-hearted conversation of 2023, I felt it was only right that I used today's episode to reflect on the year and all that I've learned. So in today's episode, I'll be sharing 12 lessons that I learned in 2023. Let's get into number 12. And number 12 honestly should be number 1. But you know what? It is what it is. Number 12 is give yourself grace. This one right here was something that I don't think I've ever learned until this year. It's something that I don't think I ever understood until this year. And I think a big part of why I am finally learning to give myself grace is because of my spiritual relationship with God, the universe, whoever you want to identify it as. But to me, God, and understanding God's grace for us, I think was the biggest thing that I needed to acquire so that I could give myself that grace. I have most of my life lived with this perfectionist complex, with this idea that there's no room for me to fail or to make mistakes, and I really used to beat myself up when I did. And that would then keep me from taking risks or trying new things because of my lack of grace. And so when I started doing some inner child work and I really started to dive into the problems that I have with perfectionism, I realized that it was because I lacked grace. It was the fact that I held everyone at a lower standard than myself, which is ultimately not fair to myself. And knowing the trajectory that I'm on, it is only right that I acquire grace so that I can show up my most authentic self without the fear of doing something wrong or judging myself. Because ultimately, I think we fear judgment, but in reality, we fear that people will look at us the way we look at ourselves. And that is something that I really had to deal with within myself. For number 11, it goes into my last episode of Lionhearted Conversations, and it is allow others to be there for you. As I said in the last episode, I have struggled with hyper-independence my whole life. However, this year alone, I could not afford to suffer in silence. There were too many times this year where I felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders and I felt like I was breaking. And knowing how I show up in the world and how I'm so quick to be there for others, I had to understand that a friendship, a relationship is a two-way street, and we not only block our connections, but we don't allow other people to get the benefit of being there for us when we struggle with that hyper independence. And so it was actually very freeing for me to learn that I can allow people to be there for me. Number 10. And honestly, number 10 and number 9 are kind of going to coincide with each other. But number 10 is to think before reacting. And as someone who is extremely emotional, I tend to react a lot more quickly than I think. And I have the capacity to reflect, but the reflections come after I've already blown up and got upset and caused a problem that didn't need to be a problem. And so this is something I'm still working through, but awareness is the first key to change. And I have learned that I could save myself so much time and energy, and other people so much time and energy, if I would just pause before you speak, ask yourself, am I in the right frame of mind to have this conversation, to address this issue, or am I emotionally charged? And if so, I need to walk away and come back once I am clear-headed. Number 9 is feelings are not facts. And like I said, this goes into number 10 because when you are emotionally charged, you tend to look at and perceive a situation different than what it actually is. You hear things that don't actually exist because you're hearing them through ears that have gone through pain. You're looking at it through eyes that have gone through pain. And we tend to distort what is actually going on in our reality by allowing our past experiences to shape that. And so I've had to catch myself and check myself several times over this last year to realize that what I'm feeling is not my facts. And that's not to invalidate your feelings. It just means that maybe, what did my old coach say? One second. I have to remember this. I can't find the exact acronym or words that my coach shared with me, but it was something along the lines of maybe another possibility should be considered. And what that looks like is when you are in the middle of a situation that is triggering and your mind is creating a story or a narrative about what you're encountering, ask yourself that maybe what you are seeing is not what you are seeing. And that's not gaslighting yourself. It's just being conscious that maybe your feelings are misinterpreting what you are actually experiencing. So, again, feelings are not facts, and we should nurture our feelings, but be conscious of them. Number 8, the lesson was speak your truth. And over the course of the last year, I have experienced this lesson in various ways. As we were just talking about the topic of feelings, speaking your truth when it comes to your feelings. As someone that doesn't do well with conflict or confrontation, as someone who has always felt invalidated when it comes to their feelings, and I tend to shut down because of my emotional nature, I have realized that there is power in speaking my truth, especially when I'm not feeling comfortable, when I am feeling down and out, when I am feeling upset or angry. Being able to articulate it and to communicate it effectively so that the person receiving what you are saying can actually hear you instead of feel attacked or feel offended in any way. That is something that I've had to learn. For number 7, I really like this one. Discipline is a form of self-respect. And again, everything, at least for me, stems from the foundation of my childhood. And as I've shared in previous videos, I have struggled with structure, with consistency, with discipline. And I tend to look at myself as being an organized chaos, or thriving in organized chaos. I have never really had discipline, but I did a 30-day self-parenting series on my social medias a couple months ago, and that was the epitome of discipline for me because I've never done anything consistently like mindfully and intentionally did something consistently for 30 days. There will be like accidental things that I've done every day. But again, it's without thinking about it. And that's a whole different ballgame. But what I grasp from that is you learn to respect yourself because you say or you do what you say you're going to do. And regardless of how you feel during that time, regardless of what shows up, what obstacles you have to face, discipline is, I'm going to keep going anyways. And so that was honestly one of the best lessons I learned. And I think everything, if I could preface the rest of this video, everything that I've learned this year is really setting me up for 2024. And these lessons are going to be what I integrate and apply for everything I encounter. Because that's how life works, right? We go through these obstacles, we go through these tests and lessons, essentially, and then the next time around you experience the same thing, but it looks differently. And either you fall short and you fail, quote unquote, and you ask yourself, didn't I already go through this? But that's the point. You're going to keep facing the same lesson until you can fully apply it to your life. Since we're on the topic of self-care, for number 6, we have boundaries are a form of self-love. And again, honestly, I'm going to say every lesson was my favorite because in the moment it was difficult. But now when you see the effects of it, it is like nobody can tell me anything. I deeply enjoyed learning these lessons. And I think that's why I created this platform is despite the difficulties behind learning these lessons, they truly do improve the quality of your life once you can grasp them. So, enough of my tangents. As I said, number 6, boundaries are a form of self-love. And this could be with job, partners, families, friends, you know what I mean? Anyhow, learning this lesson honestly changed my life. And I used to think that people who had boundaries were selfish and inconsiderate. But the truth of the matter is it's the complete opposite. Like having boundaries is showing yourself love, and it also shows others how to treat you and treat themselves. Because when it comes to like us growing and evolving as a whole, it's not up to me to tell the next person like, hey, you need to do better. No, you be the change that you want to see in the world. And that may be the biggest cliche in the book, but it is so true. I can't expect you to have boundaries with yourself and look at your life and think that, why is it that it's not clicking? They're not grasping that they need to cut that person off or that they need to stop indulging in certain things. It's not up to me to make that judgment. It's up to me, both as an individual and as a coach, to lead by example. And what I learned from having boundaries is that I keep my peace. I keep my peace, I stay grounded, and I protect myself. And I have never had boundaries. So implementing them as a recovering people pleaser and someone who has struggled with codependency was a very hard lesson to learn. But it was a freeing one nonetheless. And now I could speak my boundaries without a second thought. Because at the end of the day, if I have to do something that goes against who I am, my values, or just in general makes me feel uneasy, then I'm neglecting myself. And what we're not going to do is neglect ourselves around here. Lesson number 5 is there's no such thing as running late. And for people who live by a schedule, who are extremely organized, you're probably going to look at me crazy when I say this, but with someone that struggles with time blindness, I think this is a lesson that I absolutely love. And it reminds me of this part of the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie where Miles Morales said, Einstein said time was relative, right? Maybe I'm not late. Maybe you guys are early. And I think when I look back on this year, I have taken that quote a little too seriously, but he's not wrong. Time is relative. And I have recognized that the anxiety that I feel when I am quote unquote running late isn't the fact that I'm actually running late. It's because I am resisting where I am in that moment, and I'm trying to put myself somewhere else. And to kind of simplify that, we are always where we need to be when we need to be there. So even if, let's say, you're supposed to be somewhere at 9:30 and you don't get there till 10 a.m., you were supposed to be there at 10 a.m. And if you miss out on an opportunity, quote unquote, you weren't meant for that opportunity. That opportunity was not meant for you. There are times also when, and I saw a TikTok about this, where you will show up at an event exactly when you're supposed to be, and you will encounter someone right when you were meant to encounter them. That is divine timing. And we get so caught up in this societal structure of time and organization that we feel like we're missing out on something, or we always feel like we're behind because we're not where we quote unquote want to be or quote unquote need to be. But we are always exactly where we're supposed to be when we're supposed to be there. Number 4 is everyone doesn't deserve access to you. And that goes into boundaries. And I struggled with this as well because I have a big heart and I love very hard. And I am someone that, despite being trespassed against, I can forgive the trespasses. And this is not to toot my own horn, it's real. But what I realized is that in forgiving someone, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have unlimited access to you. Boundaries are implemented, or you cut and deny that access, because people will play in your face and they will think it's a game, and they will think that, oh, because this person forgave me, this person allowed me back in their lives, it seems like nothing even happened, that they could try you again in the future. And that's not to say that you shouldn't be open to love, you shouldn't give people second chances. No. What I'm saying is there are people who have certain character flaws that are a part of their being that may not align with the person that you are. Right now I'm spitting bars. Can we just acknowledge that? Like, obviously this is personal. But yes, we must not give everyone access to us, even if they meant no harm. The harm has been done. And now I can love you, but I can love you from a distance. And I wish you well, and there's no hard feelings. For number 3, and we're almost done, so if you've made it this far, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Number 3 is it's okay to let go. And again, that's with people, places, and things. All right. This has been the theme for me for 2023, is letting go. I journal a lot, and I'm always writing what I want to somewhat manifest in my life. And people say that that's a powerful prayer, a powerful manifestation is when you ask the universe to remove what is no longer serving its purpose in your life. However, when you pray that prayer, or when you set that intention, you must be ready to actually let go when it is being removed from your life. And I don't know about you, if you've gone through this, but when something's not for you, the only thing that hurts more is not the fact that it's being removed. It's the fact that you're holding on to something that isn't serving you anymore. You're holding on to something that is actually toxic to you. It is causing you more pain and suffering than to just let it go. And I realized, again, it's so freeing. It's so freeing to be like, you know what? I surrender. I'm okay without this thing, without this person, without this place in my life. And honestly, giving it all to God and knowing that whatever happens is supposed to happen, which we'll get to in the next one. Number 2, trust God's plan. Trust God's plan. And this will be a lesson that I will learn for the rest of my life. Is to trust God's plan. We do a really good job of thinking ahead and obsessing about the future and thinking about all these things we want to do, but then we're left disappointed when the things don't happen at our speed, or when the things don't happen the way we envisioned it. There's nothing wrong with planning by any means necessary. There's nothing wrong with aspiring and creating goals for yourself. I am very much someone who's going to continue to do that. But this goes hand in hand with the last lesson. We must be okay with letting go of our plans when God plans intercedes. What that may look like is you may want this job. You may deeply, soulfully want this job, and you can see how this will propel you and put you in a place that you want to be in your future, in your career. But maybe you don't get that job. Learning to let go of the expectations, learning to let go of the what if I don't make it now because I don't have this job, learning to let go of your attachment to what it is that you want in life, and recognizing that God may be redirecting you or shifting your perspective in a certain situation and has something that is bigger and better for you. Or maybe there's lessons that you have to learn before you get there. But nonetheless, God's plan is the best plan, and it's the ultimate plan. We are finally at number 1, and that is make time for the people and the things that you love. I am someone who, as I said in my last video, keeps everyone at bay, even if I do love them and I care deeply about them. I have an issue with intimacy and getting close with people, and it has put me in positions where I have not spent ample time with the people that I love. And that is no one's fault but my own, because everyone around me is so open and understanding, and is very much encouraging of me keeping my space, but also allowing me to be a part of their space. And so something that I am learning, especially knowing that life is short and we are not promised tomorrow, and the people that we love, we may not always get the chance to see them. We must make time for the people that we love, and that could be something as simple as picking up the phone when you are on the way to the store, or when you're driving home, or when you have a couple of minutes. That is something that has been very mind-boggling for me. I always felt like I don't have time. No, but you make time. And that's not to say you need to sit on the phone for 30 minutes to 2 hours. It just means that I have 5 minutes. I'm going to make time for this person because I care about them and they're on my mind. The one thing I don't want to live with is regrets, and regretting that I could have spent more time with the people that I love. And the second part of that is making time for the things that you love. This year, I painted more than I probably normally do. But in the last 6 months, there have been times where I have been like, I want to sit and paint. I want to sit and do something creative. And I really haven't made the time to do so. But I made the time to scroll. I made the time to go out. I made time for other things. But again, we don't want to live with regrets. We don't want to look back on our lives and say, how did I spend that time? So this is your reminder to pick up that hobby, to make time for yourself, schedule in self-care, self-love, whatever that looks like for you, to dedicate to something that brings you happiness and joy every single day. All right, and that goes for the people that matter to you as well. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to this last Lionhearted Conversation of 2023. And I'm so excited to continue to learn, heal, and grow with you guys in 2024. I'm excited for all of the changes, for all of the lessons, for all of the opportunities that are coming for us as a collective and individually in our lives, so that we can be the best lion, the best person that we can be when it comes to our lives. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you have an amazing New Year's holiday. Be safe, be blessed, and be easy. Can I just say, I've drank way too much caffeine today, but that's okay. I like caffeinated precious. Where we at?